In Nigerian politics, not everything happens in the open. Some of the biggest decisions are taken in silence, far away from cameras. Some of the most powerful deals are sealed with just a handshake behind closed doors. This is why many people who only follow public statements often miss the real story. And right now, one of the most talked about hidden moves is the quiet connection between former President Goodluck Jonathan and Peter Obi. Even though Obi has not officially declared for the 2027 presidential race, his words have given Nigerians more than enough clues. He keeps repeating statements like, "When we get to 2027, we will talk about it." That may sound harmless to some, but to anyone who understands politics, it is a signal. It means Obi has something in mind, and he is simply waiting for the right moment. He has also mentioned that he is part of the ADC coalition, which has been working hard to present itself as a strong alternative to the ruling APC and the old PDP. Now, what makes this even more interesting is the role Jonathan may be quietly playing in all of this. Since leaving office in 2015, Jonathan has taken a deliberate step back from direct partisan politics. He positions himself as an elder statesman, a peace negotiator, and a respected voice not just in Nigeria but across Africa. Yet, anyone who has observed him closely knows that he has never completely left the game. He has simply changed his style. Instead of being on the front lines, he operates from the background. Instead of chasing headlines, he uses quiet influence. This is exactly why many people suspect Jonathan is preparing the ground for Obi. Let us look at the facts. Jonathan is highly respected in the South, especially the South where he comes from, and also in the Southeast where Peter Obi hails from. During his time in office, he gave appointments to Igbo leaders and maintained strong ties with the region. Because of this, he has credibility there. At the same time, Jonathan surprised many by the way he left power peacefully in 2015, earning respect even in the north. That acceptance across regions is not something Obi had fully achieved in 2023, and Jonathan's quiet support can help him bridge that gap. If you watch Jonathan's public comments closely, you will notice something. He rarely, if ever, criticizes Obi. Instead, whenever the topic of Nigeria's future leadership comes up, Jonathan always speaks about giving space to younger leaders and creating opportunities for fresh minds. To many, this may sound like general talk, but in Nigeria, no political statement is ever empty. It is always targeted. When Jonathan says young leaders should be allowed to take charge, it is difficult not to see Obi as one of the main people he has in mind. Another thing people need to pay attention to is Jonathan's silence. Silence in politics is not weakness, it is strategy. The fact that he has not openly endorsed anyone is already a sign that he is calculating. If he supports Obi too early, it may create backlash from other camps. But by staying quiet and acting like a neutral elder, he is in a better position to quietly open doors for Obi. He can speak to northern elders, he can talk to influential figures in the southwest, and he can calm fears in the Niger Delta. These are things Obi needs badly if he wants to win in 2027. What people forget is that Jonathan himself was once seen as an outsider who rose quickly. He understands what it means to face resistance from the old political structure. That experience makes him the perfect person to guide Obi through the same process. He knows the kind of obstacles that will be placed on Obi's path, and he knows the strategies that can help overcome them. For example, during Jonathan's time, he had to deal with powerful governors, influential party leaders, and strong opposition forces. Many times, he was underestimated, but he still found ways to survive politically. Obi is in a similar position now. He is underestimated by the ruling party and even by some inside the opposition, but with the right alliances, he can shock the system. Jonathan understands this better than anyone, and that is why many believe he is secretly advising Obi. If you add all these together, a clear picture begins to form. Jonathan has the influence. He has the contacts. He has the credibility. And most importantly, he has the experience of navigating Nigeria's tricky political waters. Obi, on the other hand, has the energy, the youth support, and the hunger for change. If both men quietly align, even without making it public yet, it could reshape the entire political landscape before 2027. So when people say Jonathan is secretly working for Obi's ambition, they are not just making noise. They are reading the signs. In Nigeria, politics is never only about the words spoken in press conferences. It is about the quiet nods, the backroom discussions, the unspoken blessings, and the silent partnerships that build momentum over time. Jonathan may not be shouting Obi's name on the podium, but his moves, his words, and even his silence are already speaking loudly to those who know how to listen. And that is why Chapter 1 of this unfolding story is all about the quiet moves behind the scenes. Moves that may look ordinary on the surface, but when you connect them together, you begin to see the invisible hand of Goodluck Jonathan preparing the way for Peter Obi's 2027 ambition. One of the loudest signals that something serious is happening came when Peter Obi began talking about the ADC coalition. To the average Nigerian, it might have sounded like just another political discussion, but to those who understand how our politics works, it was a coded message. It was Obi's way of saying he is already looking beyond the Labour Party structure and is preparing for a broader platform. In Nigeria, no serious politician wins a presidential election alone. You can have a strong base, but without coalition, you cannot gather the spread required by the Constitution. Obi knows this very well. He saw it in 2023. He had millions of passionate supporters, but he fell short in the areas where coalition politics matters most. That is why this time around, he is looking at the ADC coalition as a vehicle that can carry both his grassroots movement and the backing of powerful stakeholders. Now, here is where Goodluck Jonathan's shadow comes in. Jonathan has always had a reputation as a peace builder. He is the kind of man who can sit political rivals in one room and make them talk. Over the years, he has been called to mediate in several African countries, and even here in Nigeria, politicians of different parties still respect him. That respect is exactly what Obi needs if he wants to lead a serious coalition. Many of the old politicians don't fully trust Obi yet because they see him as a newcomer, but with Jonathan quietly giving his blessing, the doubts begin to reduce. Think about it this way. The ADC on its own is not a very big party. But once you add Obi's name and movement to it, it suddenly becomes relevant. And if Jonathan is quietly encouraging some of his old contacts in the PDP and even in the APC to consider the coalition as a balancing force, then you start to see how it becomes a real threat. Politics in Nigeria is not about party logos. It is about networks, influence, and the ability to build bridges. Jonathan knows how to build those bridges, and Obi has the energy to walk across them. Another interesting point is that Jonathan and Obi share similar ideas about governance. Both of them talk about restructuring the economy, reducing waste, and creating space for younger people to participate in leadership. Both of them also present themselves as leaders who are not desperate to hold on to power at all cost. That shared philosophy is part of what makes this connection believable. Jonathan may not openly say, "I support Obi," but his soft spot for Obi's kind of politics is obvious. Let us not forget how Nigeria works. Our politics is very regional, very divided, and very emotional. In 2023, Obi had strong numbers from the southeast and parts of the south-south, but he struggled in the northwest and northeast. Jonathan, on the other hand, has kept a surprisingly cordial relationship with northern elders. They may not have voted for him in large numbers back in 2015, but they respect him for the way he peacefully handed over to Buhari. That act alone gave him moral authority in the north. If Jonathan is whispering in those circles that Obi is a man who can be trusted, it carries weight. This is why the ADC coalition becomes more than just a political experiment. It becomes a platform where Jonathan's old influence and Obi's new energy can meet in the middle. Jonathan can reach out to people who will never attend an Obidient rally, but who will listen to him because of his calm nature. Obi, on the other hand, can mobilize millions of young Nigerians who are tired of the old political order. Together, they can form a balance that Nigeria has not seen in a long time. What many Nigerians may not see yet is that Jonathan is also protecting his own legacy through Obi. If Obi succeeds, Jonathan's name will shine again because people will say he played a role in preparing the ground for a new Nigeria. For a man who has faced so much criticism in the past, this is a quiet way to rewrite history. That is why his interest in Obi's journey makes sense. It is not only about politics, it is also about legacy. Let us also be clear, coalition politics in Nigeria is messy. There will be disagreements, betrayals, and power struggles. But Jonathan's presence, even in the background, brings stability. When a respected elder is sitting at the table, people are less likely to walk away. And that is exactly what Obi needs, someone who can hold the fragile alliance together while he focuses on the big picture. So when Obi talks about being part of the ADC coalition, it is not just ordinary talk. It is part of a carefully planned strategy. And when you look closely, you can see Jonathan's quiet fingerprints on the process. It is not about making speeches. It is about making calls, arranging meetings, and softening hearts that would otherwise be closed to Obi. That is why this chapter of the story is so important. The ADC coalition is not just a political platform. It is a meeting point between Obi's ambition and Jonathan's influence. It is the bridge between old experience and new energy. And if it holds together until 2027, it could be the most serious challenge the ruling party has faced in years. Let us be realistic. Peter Obi has not declared for 2027. He has not stood in front of any rally to announce his ambition. But in Nigeria, politics is never only about what is said directly. It is also about body language, the hidden moves, and the subtle signals that tell the real story. And when you look at the body language of key players today, the picture becomes clearer. Goodluck Jonathan is moving like a man who knows something big is already forming in the background. Jonathan's style since leaving Aso Rock has been consistent. He talks about unity, peace, and credible leadership. He attends reconciliation meetings across Africa. He appears at political gatherings but never aligns himself too openly with any one side. To an ordinary Nigerian, it looks like he is just playing the role of an elder statesman. But in politics, nothing is ever just ordinary. Every movement has meaning, and every word has a hidden weight. When Jonathan says Nigeria needs credible leadership, it sounds general. But who fits that description today? In the eyes of many Nigerians, Obi is one of the few opposition figures who represents credibility and trust. When Jonathan says young leaders must be given a chance, who are the young leaders at that level? Clearly not Atiku, not Tinubu, not most of the old guards. Obi is the closest figure to that description. So, even without mentioning names, Jonathan's words indirectly push Obi forward. That is why those who read between the lines believe Jonathan's quiet endorsement is already there. Let us also look at the way Jonathan is managing his networks. He still commands respect in the Niger Delta, and he has loyalists across the South who owe their political rise to him. Many of these people are still active in politics today. If Jonathan tells them to listen to Obi, most of them will not argue. They may not make noise about it, but their alignment will matter when the time comes. That quiet influence is something Obi did not fully enjoy in 2023, but it could change everything in 2027. Another key point is Jonathan's relationship with the North. Many people forget that in 2015, after a tough election, Jonathan shocked the world by conceding defeat even before the final results were announced. That single act gave him respect in the North and among international observers. It showed him as a man who put Nigeria above personal ambition. Till today, many northern elders still refer to him as a leader who prevented bloodshed by his decision. That moral credit is still in his account. If Jonathan uses that to quietly speak for Obi, then the doors Obi struggled to open in the North may begin to open. But there is also another angle. Jonathan knows the danger of openly endorsing Obi too early. In Nigerian politics, timing is everything. If he comes out now to say he is supporting Obi, it will immediately create enemies from both the ruling party and from old allies in the PDP. They will accuse him of betrayal, and that could weaken his influence. Instead, Jonathan is choosing the smarter route, staying in the shadows, guiding quietly, and preparing the ground without drawing too much attention. This way, when the right moment comes, his voice will carry even more weight. It is also important to understand Jonathan's personal motivation. His legacy as president has always been debated. Some Nigerians praise him for strengthening democracy, others blame him for corruption and insecurity during his tenure. But if Obi succeeds in 2027, Jonathan's name will shine again. People will say he played a fatherly role in building the bridge for a new Nigeria. For a man who values his reputation, this is not a small matter. It gives him every reason to quietly support Obi's rise. Now, let us imagine the bigger picture. Obi brings the fire of the youth, the Obidient movement, the hunger for change, and the loud voice on social media. Jonathan brings the calm of experience, the contacts, the respect, and the power to reassure the political class. On their own, each of them is strong but limited. Together, they form a combination that could truly shake the foundation of the political order in 2027. That is why analysts keep saying Nigerians must look beyond what is being said publicly and start paying attention to what is happening behind closed doors. What Nigerians need to understand is that politics here is never only about campaign rallies or press releases. It is about alliances built in silence, deals cut in private, and blessings given quietly. Jonathan is too experienced to put everything in the open. He knows how Nigeria works, and he knows how to move carefully without losing relevance. That is why his silence should not be mistaken for neutrality. His silence is strategy. His quiet movements are part of the bigger script. As 2027 draws closer, more signs will surely appear. There will be subtle endorsements, quiet meetings, and coded statements that will make the direction clearer. But for now, if you connect the dots, Obi's hint about 2027, his link with the ADC coalition, Jonathan's repeated calls for credible young leadership, and the respect Jonathan still enjoys across Nigeria, the message is hard to miss. The truth is that Goodluck Jonathan is not just sitting on the sidelines. He is playing the role of a quiet kingmaker, preparing the field for Peter Obi's eventual move. It may not yet be written on paper, but the foundation is already being laid. And when the time comes, Nigerians will look back and realize that the signs were there all along, hidden in plain sight, waiting for those who had the patience to read between the lines.